Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy today's episode.
Lin Yu counted the more than 100 high-ranking celestial angels present. He found around 20 special angels, including the Angel of Retribution, the Angel of Love, and the Artisan Angel. It was strange that the probability of special angels appearing had also increased recently. However, Lin Yu didn't think much of it. After all, this was a good thing. Step back. Like the other angel legions, you will also participate in the war. Kill the enemy and elevate your own level. Lin Yu said to the crowd of high-ranking celestial angels present, I expect to see each and every one of you grow into eternal true gods and fight alongside me on the myriad worlds battlefield. Yes, my lord. The crowd of high-ranking celestial angels responded excitedly. They secretly vowed to become gods as soon as possible, so as not to disappoint the great Lord of Holy Light, the Creator. As for the massive hellhounds, each of them raised their heads, their fighting spirit boiling like fighting dogs. Serving the master's master was imprinted deep in their souls. Soon, the crowd of angels stepped back. 3 artisan angels went to help Coral and others build a teleportation array. The other angels led the reorganized angel legions gathered in the square of the territory, charging straight into the battlefield of the outside world. On the other side, each hellhound had a 6-winged fallen angel standing on its back. They wore blood-red battle armor. One hand held a blood-dripping divine sword. The other hand grasped the chains that bound the hellhounds. They pointed their swords towards the intense battlefield outside the city. Roar! The hellhounds raised their heads one after another and let out a roar. Then, the scales on their bodies split open, revealing a pair of huge, demonic wings. The wings spread out, reaching over 100 meters in length. They were even more exaggerated than the dragon body of the green dragon Aldrich. Go to battle! With the simultaneous shout of the 6-winged fallen angels, the hellhounds, like ancient behemoths, flapped their wings and took off into the sky. As transcendent late-stage beings. Even without wings, hellhounds could fly. But the presence of wings greatly increased their speed. Just like angels. Advertisement. Angel wings brought extreme speed to angels. The huge blood-red wings also allowed the hellhounds to reach an astonishing speed in flight. At the same time, it made them look even more domineering. Monstrous creatures like hellhounds had extremely powerful combat capabilities. Even dragons of the 5-colored evil dragon level were no match for them at the same level. They could easily tear ordinary dragons into pieces. After all, they came from hell. They even have wings. Lin Yu looked at the massive hellhounds flying into the sky, and the 6-winged fallen angels standing proudly on their backs, feeling somewhat envious. Once such a combination was brought back to the Blue Star, it would definitely intimidate the entire world. Lin Yu turned to Angelia beside him and asked, Are there many such monstrous creatures in hell? Angelia nodded and said, Back then, the 4 18-winged Grand Archangels split the underworld in half, bringing the apocalypse to the underworld. Hellish monsters and reapers fell in countless numbers. However, after so many years of rest and recuperation, the number of hellish monsters has also recovered somewhat. Of course, the recovery was not significant. When the fallen angels had nothing to do, they liked to slaughter hellish monsters. Otherwise, would these hellhounds be so obedient? Putting aside the seals, the hellish monsters had long been terrified by the fallen angel clan. Not listening, that means extermination of the clan. Lin Yu's eyes lit up as he asked, Are there also reapers in hell? Angelia thought for a moment and replied, Most of the reapers in hell were eliminated during the war back then. Even if there are some who survived, they are few in number. Nowadays, the deities in hell, besides the fallen angel, most of them are various giant deities and undead deities. Giant deities and undead deities are not reapers. Reapers are a very special type of deity. They only exist in the underworld camp. They are skilled at harvesting the souls of the dead and can easily travel between the yin and yang realms. Has there been no new reapers born in hell in millions of years? Lin Yu asked curiously. Angelia said, During that battle, The four grand archangels also split the world source of the underworld. The world source, the laws of the universe. All were divided into two. This resulted in both the later underworld and the newly formed hell being incomplete worlds. It's not a problem to ascend to deity status, but it's very difficult to become a reaper who can communicate with the world's source. So that's how it is. At this moment, Lin Yu suddenly remembered something. Advertisement. The Nightmare Night team we encountered before was sent by the underworld to this world to find the corpse of a reaper that fell in this world. Could it be because there are problems with the source and laws of the underworld? That's why they're doing this? It's like being a billionaire before, having so much money that you can't spend it all. But overnight, you go bankrupt and become an ordinary person. $1 becomes $2. Knowing that there is a reaper's corpse in this world, they immediately come to search for it. My lord is wise. Secretarian flattered, as she also had the same speculation. The reaper behind the Nightmare Night, longing for the underworld source and divinity inside that reaper's corpse. There's no other reason. The current underworld is too poor. The laws are incomplete, and the source is scarce. The miserable reapers can only search the world for corpses and become corpse collectors. Of course, Angelia doesn't care about this. Even if all the reapers in the underworld are gone, she wouldn't mind. She only cares about her Lord of Holy Light. Then, she took off the Skull King belt, tied around her waist, and handed it to Lin Yu, saying, "My lord, the magic cores brought back by Woodlow and Agutiji from the Mountain Ridge Giant Kingdom, as well as various items, are all stored in here. Take a look." Lin Yu reached out and took it. He tied the belt, which still carried the warmth and fragrance of Secretarian, around his waist. Then he immersed his consciousness in it. Immediately, he saw several mountains. Among them was a mountain of magic cores. With a rough scan, he knew that there were at least tens of thousands of magic cores. This was the strategic reserve of the Giant Kingdom over the years. There were also mountains of materials. All kinds of metal materials, magic potions, and magic gems, too many to count. There were really too many. The total value of these items could be said to be several hundred times that of all the resources in Paradise Town. This made Lin Yu couldn't help but sigh. After playing in the wilderness for so many days, stealing from someone's home would earn more. Lin Yu said to the elegant and beautiful Secretarian, "The space in this belt is a bit small. Didn't we find some transcendent level space equipment before? Why didn't you use it?" Angelia said, "This belt was bestowed upon me by the Lord." For her, the significance of the item was more important. Although the Skull King's belt was only a king-level equipment, its significance was incomparable even to divine weapon-level space equipment. Upon hearing this, Lin Yu didn't know what to say. In the end, he decided not to say anything. He simply stroked Secretary Anne's soft little hand like stroking a cat. Although it was late at night, Lin Yu did not feel sleepy. With Angelia's company, he arrived outside the Hall of the Overlord. At the cost of consuming a few basic resources, the territory was upgraded to a middle-level town. Then it was upgraded to a high-level town. Both upgrades did not have any restrictions on special buildings, so it went very smoothly. After reaching the level of a high-level town, the area of Paradise Town became larger, spanning nearly 80 kilometers. It didn't look like a town at all, but rather a big city. Lin Yu checked the new information of Paradise Town. Paradise Town. Level. High-level town. Overlord. Lin Yu. Territory buildings. Hall of the Overlord, Clinic, Tavern, Dark Elf Mother Tree, Blacksmith Workshop, Watchtower. Spirit Field Level, Level 5. Prosperity, 1,269,000 points. Next level, City. Upgrade conditions. Condition 1. Prosperity reaches 300,000, completed. Condition 2. Possess the buildings of the Apothecary's Mansion and the Professional Tower, as well as 3,000 high-level buildings, not completed. Condition 3. 300,000 units of wood, 300,000 units of stone, and 300,000 units of iron ore, completed. To upgrade the town, we need the buildings of the Apothecary's Mansion and the Professional Tower. The former is the place where various potions are prepared. It's similar to the blacksmith workshop. As for the professional tower, Lin Yu guessed that this building was related to professional skills. After inquiring with Myriad World's floating island, the answer was indeed as he expected. Inside the professional tower, there were various professional skills. With the increase in building level, more high-level skills would appear, and even forbidden spells. Whether it was an overlord professional, a territory's unit profession, or a combat professional, they could all enter the professional tower to learn skills suitable for them. The higher the talent, the faster the learning speed. It would also be easier to comprehend high-level professional skills and achieve a surge in combat power. The drop rate of skill blueprints in the floating island was very low. From yesterday until now, the Legion under Lin Yu's command had killed millions of undead creatures and monsters, but they only obtained a little over 100 skill blueprints. Among them, the majority were low-level ordinary skills. There were very few high-level skills. Lin Yu, who was now a saint-rank powerhouse, naturally didn't care about any of them. In the end, he sold all these skill blueprints and obtained a large sum of gold coins. Overall, the value of the professional tower was very high. Once this building was obtained, it could greatly enhance the overall strength of the territory's legion. Even those low-level units like goblins, gnomes, and dwarves would have the opportunity to learn skills from the professional tower and have a second chance at life. I remember that the blueprint for the apothecary's mansion is in the glory items menu. Advertisement. It costs 300 glory points. I wonder if there is a blueprint for the professional tower. Thinking of this, Lin Yu immediately opened the glory items menu and carefully searched. The final result left him somewhat disappointed. Sure enough, Myriad World's floating island would not allow them overlord professionals to take shortcuts. Without hesitation, Lin Yu immediately spent 300 glory points to exchange for the blueprint of the apothecary's mansion and built it in the territory. At this point, he only needed to obtain a blueprint for the professional tower. Then his territory could be directly upgraded to a city, and he would unlock the summoning permission for the Ten-Winged Angel. Holding Angelia's soft little hand, Lin Yu asked, "Do we have any apothecaries in our territory?" Angelia shook her head and said, "Apothecaries require a powerful force to cultivate and generally exist in human society, such as the bountiful Great Lands. It's a bit regrettable." Lin Yu said, "When we attack the giant kingdom tomorrow, let's see if there are any apothecaries there. If there are, let them embrace the light and prepare potions for our territory." Lin Yu was no longer satisfied with just crafting equipment. He wanted to also work as a potion merchant, further collecting gold coins from combat professionals. As for the materials needed to prepare potions, he had plenty in his warehouse. "Yes, my lord." Angelia respectfully obeyed the order. Immediately, Lin Yu used up all the remaining blueprints for the wooden houses and arrow towers. Built over 10,000 wooden houses and more than 2,000 arrow towers. All the wooden houses have been upgraded to high level. The arrow towers have all been upgraded to middle-level turrets. Finally, there are unit evolution blueprints and unit quantity blueprints. The former was given to ancient Great Elf Edoris to help the tribal elves evolve. The latter has been used up. A total of over 40,000 elite units, including elite goblins and elite forest trolls, have been added. Their combat power is much stronger than that of the native believers who were converted. The most important thing is this blueprint. Lin Yu flipped his right hand, and a piece of paper emitting a faint golden light appeared in his hand. Looking at its information, it turned out to be a middle-level equipment forging blueprint. Recently, an Overlord professional player has released the Blacksmith Workshop blueprint and started crafting equipment to sell on the island's trading platform. This is competing for business with him. However, the impact is not significant. Because as the level of combat professionals increases, the price of low-level equipment is also plummeting. Initially, a level 3 ordinary equipment could be sold for 100 gold coins. Now the price has been cut in half. As for level 2 equipment, it is difficult to sell. Only those professionals who are really lacking equipment will choose to buy. With this middle-level equipment blueprint, Lin Yu's blacksmith workshop can now produce level 4 to level 6 equipment, which is exactly what combat professionals need at this stage. There is one more thing. Advertisement. His blacksmith workshop can now be upgraded to high level. Today, Paradise Town has converted over 800,000 native believers. Among them, there are over 600 different races of blacksmiths, which can fully meet the needs of the high-level blacksmith workshop and even have enough surplus. Immediately, Lin Yu went to the blacksmith workshop area. First, he used the middle-level equipment forging blueprint and then upgraded the blacksmith workshop. Soon, the blacksmith workshop was enveloped in a brilliant golden light. The earth also began to tremble slightly. When the golden light dissipated, the blacksmith workshop had turned into a magnificent 5-story building with a very wide area. Territory building, blacksmith workshop. Level, high level. Can accommodate blacksmiths, 50 to 100. Daily production of equipment, 5,000 to 10,000 pieces. Note, the probability of producing supreme-grade equipment in the high-level blacksmith workshop is 5%. With the blacksmith workshop upgraded to high level, it is already considered the ultimate building. It cannot be further upgraded. To produce more equipment, more blacksmith workshops must be built. Now, with all the blacksmiths in my territory, there are nearly 700 of them. Even if 7 high-level blacksmith workshops are used at the same time, there is no problem, but unfortunately there are no blueprints. Lin Yu felt a little regretful, but he didn't think too much about it. He gathered all the blacksmiths in the territory and then selected the relatively outstanding ones. For example, high-level blacksmiths and middle-level blacksmiths. Finally, he gathered 100 blacksmiths to take over this high-level blacksmith workshop. The level of the blacksmiths is related to the probability of producing supreme-grade equipment. The higher the level, the higher the probability of producing supreme-grade equipment. Lin Yu called the Dark Elf blacksmiths, Nicole and Emma, and said, "You will still be in charge of the blacksmith workshop. Work hard to craft equipment. I look forward to the day when you break through and become master blacksmiths. Praise you, Lord of Holy Light. We will not let you down." The 2 sexy and delicate Dark Elf blacksmiths were very excited. Lin Yu nodded. Then he returned to the Hall of the Overlord. Angelia did not follow him. After bidding farewell to Lin Yu, she walked into the spirit field in the territory. At this moment, there were more than a dozen figures gathered in the spirit field. Most of them were angels, and a few were dark elves. But without exception, they were all powerful individuals at the saint rank level. They gathered in the spirit field to use its special material to achieve bloodline evolution. When Angelia entered, they all respectfully saluted. Angelia nodded calmly, then went to the side and forcibly collected the special evolutionary material from the spirit field using special means. It's unknown how long it took. Finally, a brilliant golden light appeared, enveloping her beautiful and elegant figure. Witnessing this scene, the angels in the spirit field space immediately showed a look of reverence. Several saint-rank dark elves had envy written all over their faces. The elder elf, Carol, was also among them, whispering, "Angels truly deserve to be the holy spirits created by the Lord of Holy Light. Their talents are truly terrifying." Upon hearing this, the other 3 dark elves nodded in agreement. During this period of time, every night they were able to witness a large number of angels successfully achieving bloodline evolution. Some evolved from 2-winged angels to 4-winged angels. Some evolved from 4-winged angels to 6-winged angels. In total, there were hundreds of them. In comparison, the number of evolutions for their dark elf race was much smaller. Including themselves, they only succeeded in bloodline evolution with the help of the unit evolution blueprint bestowed by the Lord of Holy Light, gaining the potential for growth at the demigod level. Not far away, there stood 3 giant figures. They were the followers of Lin Yu, the 3 mountain giant believers. They did not speak, but communicated with each other through spiritual consciousness. Once the Holy Envoy evolves successfully, they will become 10-winged angels, and their combat power will skyrocket. It's certain that their combat power will greatly increase. I suspect that the Holy Envoy may directly step into the realm of demigod. After all, The Holy Envoy is already a peak saint rank powerhouse. Taking the bloodline evolution into account, it is very likely to help the Holy Envoy break through the limitations of their realm. That's not necessarily true. Woodrow, a late-stage saint rank, said, "To promote to demigod, one must master the laws. The power of the domain must be sublimated into the power of the laws in order to step into the realm of demigod." This promotion has nothing to do with bloodline evolution. Unless the Holy Envoy synchronizes the mastery of the power of the laws during the process of bloodline evolution, they can directly become an invincible demigod. Regardless, the strength of the Holy Envoy is already terrifying enough. No less than a true demigod. Agutagai said, "The great Lord of Holy Light has already passed down the oracle. Tomorrow morning, the Angel Legion will ride the City of Angels and attack the capital of our kingdom. At that time, we will also participate in the battle to save more of our people." Beside them, the mountain giant, Barnett, said, "I just hope that His Majesty and the great prophet can wake up and not remain ignorant. Otherwise, our mountain giant clan will inevitably suffer heavy losses. Even the capital may become a ruin. It's unknown how much time passed." Advertisement. A terrifying aura of laws emerged from the golden light enveloping Angelia. Instantly, the expressions of the three mountain giants froze. Woodrow took a deep breath and transmitted his voice, "Forget what I just said." On the other side, the tall and slender angel, Aida, looked at the elegant figure enveloped in golden light and muttered to herself, "The Lord is advancing again and is about to become a 10-winged angel." She was envious because she was currently only a 4-winged angel. Compared to a 10-winged angel, she was far behind. Generally, when a 4-winged angel sees a 10-winged angel, they need to address them as Your Highness due to the significant difference in status. Aida knew very well that although she was the first angel summoned by the Lord of Holy Light, her starting point was too low. She was only a 2-winged angel. It was already quite good for her to evolve into a 4-winged angel. Reaching the heights of a 10-winged angel, or even a 12-winged angel, seemed more like a luxury. Although the great Lord of Holy Light favored her, she didn't have much confidence in herself. Standing beside her was Pamela, the 6-winged Dominion angel. She turned her head and said, "Isn't it normal for an adult to ascend to the rank of a 10-winged angel? If it weren't for the interference of the lost spirit of this world, how could the adult have lowered their status?" Speaking of this, a hint of anger appeared on Pamela's exquisite and beautiful cheeks. A barely audible whisper. "One day, the lost spirit of this world will know the consequences of offending our angelic clan. When our angelic clan ruled the myriad worlds, there were countless lost spirits that were annihilated. How dare an incomplete lost spirit obstruct us from serving the great Lord of Holy Light? It's truly infuriating." The killing intent of the divine angel was not as strong as that of the fallen angel. But when they become ruthless, they are extremely ruthless. Otherwise, the angelic clan would not have gained such a renowned reputation in the myriad worlds, and even some advanced races in this incomplete world have heard legends about the angelic clan. Ignorant. At this moment, a cold and mocking voice came over. 6-winged Dominion angel Pamela immediately glared and said, "Gladys, do you want to fight?" Other divine angels also gathered. They all looked at 6-winged fallen angel Gladys with unfriendly eyes. The grudges between the divine angels and the fallen angels have a long history. It can be traced back to a battle among the 7 grand archangels millions of years ago. Advertisement. However, Gladys was not afraid at all and said, "What qualifications does an incomplete lost spirit have to stop our angelic clan? With the power bestowed upon us, we can easily crush it with a slap. Let's trace it back. It is backed by the lost spirit of the myriad worlds battlefield. It controls all the floating islands in the myriad worlds. It also defines the rules. So, if we want to kill, we should kill it." The group of divine angels fell silent. The lost spirit of the myriad worlds battlefield is not easy to kill. Even the main gods and divine kings of various races dare, not provoke the lost spirit of the myriad worlds battlefield. What's wrong? Are you all retreating at the mention of it? Six-winged fallen angel Gladys continued to mock and said, if it were our fallen angel clan that raised the banner back then, how could the Pantheon battlefield be occupied by those heretics? There was an unexpected invasion. Six-winged Dominion Angel Pamela said expressionlessly, now, our Lord has returned, and the 10 trillion angelic army of our divine angel clan has long been assembled and ready. In this era, we will conquer the myriad worlds battlefield. Gladys glanced over and said, apart from the 10 trillion angelic army, what else does your divine angel camp have? After tens of millions of years, besides the explosive growth in the size of your legion, you have made no progress in other areas. Our fallen angel camp is different. Six-winged Dominion Angel Pamela interrupted her and said, having a 10 trillion army is enough. Gladys. It has to be said that this is the aspect where the fallen angel camp envies and is jealous of the divine angel camp. They don't need to do anything, and they don't know how many divine angels are born from those angel reincarnation pools every day. Gladys knows this well. The 10 trillion angelic army is just the main force of the divine angel camp. In the vast divine domain, there are countless newly born angels or angels in the growth stage. When added together, the number of divine angels is extremely terrifying. This is also one of the main reasons why the fallen angel camp cannot surpass the divine angel camp. Just at this moment, the dazzling golden light surrounding Angelia began to dissipate. Pamela and Gladys immediately stopped arguing. Even fallen angel Gladys, who was present, distanced herself a bit. She dared to mock Pamela and the other divine angels, but it didn't mean she dared to be presumptuous in front of Angelia. That would be suicidal. The golden light completely dissipated. An elegant and noble figure appeared. Her face, figure, and temperament were all flawless and beautiful. None of the holy angels, fallen angels, or dark elves present could compare to her in these aspects. She stood in midair. Her golden hair floated gently. Her gaze was like a sparkling starry sky, clear and dreamlike. She looked like a goddess descending to the mortal world, holy, beautiful, noble, and untouchable. Congratulations on stepping into 10-winged, my lady. All the holy angels respectfully bowed. Standing not far away, including Gladys, the fallen angels also lowered their heads slightly. In the face of a significant difference in status, the opposition between factions seemed less important. There's nothing to congratulate. Angelia's expression was calm as she said, you must strive to cultivate and promote to higher ranks as soon as possible, so as not to disappoint the great Lord of Holy Light. Yes, my lady Angelia. All the holy angels and fallen angels stepped aside, obediently calming their minds and entering a state of cultivation. As for Angelia, she walked out of the spirit field alone. It could be seen that a pair of dazzling flowing wings had appeared behind her. There were 3 pairs of snow-white angel wings and 2 pairs of even larger flowing wings. 5 pairs of 10-winged. After the arduous bloodline evolution, she successfully ascended to become a 10-winged angel. As for her level, it had reached the demigod level. Although the prerequisite for becoming a demigod was to sublimate the power of the domain into the power of laws, this step had stumped countless professionals. But for Angelia, it seemed effortless. She easily achieved it. What was most terrifying was that as soon as she ascended to demigod, she mastered multiple laws. The attributes in her domain had all transformed into the power of laws, controlled by her. Compared to the peak of the saint rank before the breakthrough, at this moment, Angelia had become much stronger. Suppressing demigods would probably be a piece of cake. After walking out of the spirit field, Angelia did not return to the town, but tore through the void and disappeared on the spot. When her figure reappeared, she had arrived above an unfamiliar jungle. Looking down, below the jungle stood a native tribe. Inside the tribe, there were buildings woven from trees, wild bamboo, and vines everywhere. Advertisement. In addition, there were flowers everywhere, and green grass provided shade. There was also a clear stream flowing near the tribe. To describe it in a more artistic way, the scenery here was picturesque, exuding the beauty of nature everywhere. Angelia's gaze seemed to penetrate those buildings and see the sleeping creatures inside. Their appearance was 90% similar to that of the dark elves. The difference was that their hair was greenish-blue, and their eyes were also green. There were no small fangs on the corners of their mouths. Most of them wore clothes woven from vines and flowers, with only a few wearing leather armor. Boom, 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 boom. Just then, accompanied by a heavy footstep, giant trees over 20 meters tall walked from the entrance of the tribe and slowly disappeared into the nearby jungle. These trees were none other than the rumored tree people. They guarded the creatures of this tribe, followers of the goddess of nature and the elven goddess, once the main force on the battlefield of the holy demon. Worthy of redemption, Angelia muttered to herself. Then, she waved her right hand and sprinkled a brilliant rain of light. These light rains envelop the tribe. They merge into the bodies of the sleeping nature spirits. Almost instantly, thousands of nature spirits in this tribe opened their eyes all at once. Then, they got up and knelt on the ground, raising their plump buttocks, praying towards the great Lord of Holy Light. With a single move, thousands of nature spirits all became Lin Yu's followers. Spreading faith should have been the work of divine art-level angels. But Angelia did it effortlessly. To become the followers of my Lord is also your fortune. Under normal circumstances, she wouldn't actively spread faith, because that is the function of wisdom angels, seeker angels, and grand angels. But since she encountered them, out of respect for the goddesses of nature and spirits, she was willing to guide these lost nature spirits onto the path of light. As for whether the goddesses of nature and spirits would be grateful, that is not within her consideration. Afterward, Angelia tore through the void once again and disappeared. The next second, she appeared in the sky above a vast plain. Looking around, towering cities stood proudly. Scattered around were villages and territories of various sizes. Even though it was late at night, those cities, villages, and territories were still brightly lit, and many figures could be seen coming and going under the lights. All those figures were humans. Advertisement. A strong aura of light. What the three mountain giants said is true. There are indeed followers of the holy light in bountiful great lands. However, behind the light, there are also dark figures lurking. It is not ruled out that they are followers of the dark goddess. Bountiful Great Lands has 3 human kingdoms. 2 of them are controlled by the Holy Light Church. The remaining human kingdom is close to the sea and has a close relationship with the Dragon's Nest, which rules over the 36 islands. Regardless of that, let's go to the Holy Light Church first. Secretary Anne's elegant figure disappeared once again. For her, who had mastered the power of spatial laws, this long-distance instant teleportation was a very easy task. She could even tour the 8 major regions of the floating island world in just one night. Then, in the morning, she could appear in front of the Lord of Holy Light with breakfast in hand. The Holy Light Church is the most powerful force in bountiful Great Lands. Although it is not a kingdom, it possesses immense power. Its clergy and followers are spread throughout the entire bountiful Great Lands. Even the human kingdom that is not under the control of the Holy Light Church and has formed an alliance with the Dragon's Nest, ruling over the 36 islands, is gradually being eroded by the power of the Holy Light Church. It can only be said that the persuasive power of the Light Camp is extremely astonishing. They are most skilled at spreading faith. In addition, the headquarters of the Holy Light Church is located at the northernmost part of bountiful Great Lands. Continuing northward is the rarely visited St. Cabell snowfield. Its headquarters city is built on a mountain peak that reaches several thousand meters high. It is known as the City in the Clouds. And here, it is the sacred land of all followers of the Holy Light. Late at night, most of the followers in the City in the Clouds have already entered their dreams, including the Pope of the Holy Light Church, as well as the bishops and temple knights. But at this moment, a statue standing in the center of the City in the Clouds suddenly radiated brilliant holy light. At the same time, The statues enshrined in the holy light temple were all enveloped in holy light. Immediately after, a pleasant holy sound resounded throughout the entire city in the clouds. At this moment, all the followers in the city were awakened. They rushed out of their residences and gathered in the prayer square. Looking at the 100-meter-high statue enveloped in holy light, listening to the holy sound ringing in their ears, all the followers were moved to tears. A miracle! A miracle has appeared. We have not been abandoned by the goddess of light. The goddess still favors her humble followers. Praise the great goddess of light, just as countless believers were shouting excitedly. Above the statue of the god, a huge phantom appeared out of thin air. He was wearing a luxurious long gown, a delicate crown on his head, and holding a scepter symbolizing power and the highest authority. But most importantly, behind him, there were 18 dazzling angel wings. His face was not clear. Just like the supreme god, he was unseeable, indescribable, and untouchable. He emitted endless divine radiance and supreme majesty. His figure was hundreds of meters tall, pressuring the entire cloud city. All the believers, whether they were ordinary people, professionals, or those temple knights and bishops, at the moment they saw this figure, they all knelt down in excitement, as if they were crazy. It's the 18-winged Grand Archangel recorded in the scriptures. Oh my God! The 18-winged Grand Archangel, serving the Almighty Creator, has descended. The believers in the city became even more frenzied and excited than before. They worshipped the goddess of light. But all the followers of the light knew that the goddess of light was just one of the subordinate gods under the Almighty Creator. The position of the Almighty Creator was still above the goddess of light. That was their god of faith. And the 18-winged Grand Archangel was the attendant of the Almighty Creator, never leaving the side of the Creator. Now, the 18-winged Grand Archangel had descended upon Cloud City, which meant that the Almighty Creator was also paying attention to this place. For them, what an honor it was. Praise you, Almighty Creator. May the holy light be with us. May the divine Lord be eternal. Countless believers shouted madly, and the fanatical waves of sound almost shook the entire Cloud City. Some believers were so excited that they fainted on the spot. Then they were awakened by the believers next to them. In the Temple of Cloud City, hundreds of red-robed bishops, pontiffs, temple knights gathered here. Regardless of age or gender, they all knelt on the ground. And the one they knelt to was the elegant figure sitting on the throne at the top of the temple. Everyone present was trembling with excitement, especially the fanatic believers among them. They could hardly control themselves. However, no one dared to speak at this moment because they dared not disrespect the divine. After waiting silently for several minutes, an old figure walked quickly into the temple under the escort of several bishops. At the moment he saw the elegant figure on the throne, the leader, an old man wearing a crown and a robe of light, was stunned. His first reaction was not excitement, but stupefaction, disbelief. How could this be? The projection of the 18-winged Grand Archangel that appeared in the prayer square was actually real. The legendary angel race had not disappeared. They had returned. Although the figure in front of him was not the 18-winged Grand Archangel serving the Almighty Creator recorded in the scriptures, but a 10-winged angel, it was still a living angel. Advertisement. How could the angel race from the myths appear in this broken world? He felt it was incredibly unbelievable. Just at this moment, Angelia, who was sitting on the throne, said in a cold voice, "As the Pope, you have never embraced the light, never believed in our Lord. This is blasphemy against the Lord of holy light." The old man being escorted was the Pope who held power and position in the holy sea of light. In the bountiful great lands, as the Pope of the light, he possessed boundless power and status. Upon hearing these words, the bishops, temple knights, and other believers in the hall all looked at the Pope in astonishment. The dignified Pope of light actually did not believe in the light? This completely shattered their understanding. A saint-rank pinnacle temple knight stood up, angrily questioning, "Your Holiness, is this true?" You have never believed in the Almighty Creator? Of course not. I am the most devout believer of the Creator. The elderly Pope was first shocked, then quickly calmed down, while responding to the temple knight and the questioning gazes in the hall. He also glared angrily at Angelia sitting on the throne. In great anger, he said, "Where did you come from, you heretic believer? How dare you impersonate the noble angelic spirit? Aren't you afraid of being punished by the goddess of light?" Upon hearing this, the people in the hall were once again stunned. The 10-winged angel sitting on the throne was actually fake? Didn't that mean they had knelt in vain? There were also fanatic believers who refused to believe and retorted against the Pope, saying, "Your Holiness, she is clearly the noble angelic spirit, not a heretic believer. Are you confused?" "Shut up," the Pope angrily said. "As the Pope of the Holy See of Light, I am the person closest to the goddess of light. Whether she is the legendary angelic spirit or not, can I see it?" As soon as these words were spoken, the fanatic believer was stunned. The Pope's words make a lot of sense. Seizing the opportunity, the Pope pursued, roaring in the hall, "She is a follower of the evil god, and the appearance of the angelic spirit is an illusion created by her dark magic. Kill her. Do not let her leave the city in the clouds, otherwise it would be blasphemy against the Creator." However, after the words fell, no one moved. Because the figure looked exactly like the angelic spirit recorded in the scripture, the divine and radiant aura emanating from her was also incredibly pure. Even the projection of the 18-winged Grand Archangel, who served the Supreme Creator, appeared. In this situation, they dared not act rashly. What if they were being deceived by the Pope? That would be a great sin. At this moment, Angelia, who was sitting on the throne, stood up. Just this one movement made the Pope retreat repeatedly, his angry expression filled with infinite fear. Because only he knew. Everything he had just said was a lie. He did not believe in the Supreme Creator or the Goddess of Light. His faith had long been consumed by the desire for power. Generations of popes of the light had been continuously developing followers of the Supreme Creator and the Goddess of Light, spreading the faith of the divine and the light, purely for the sake of power, using the faith of countless believers in the light to satisfy their own desires. And he absolutely could not let this secret be exposed. Otherwise, he would be finished. So, even if he knew that the 10-winged angel in front of him was real, he still had to get rid of her. After all, as a false believer who blasphemed against the Supreme Creator, even if he repented on the spot, it would be useless. This angel would definitely kill him. Advertisement. In order to survive and to continue his papal authority, he could only strike back. As for whether there would be more angels coming to trouble him after killing this one, he couldn't care less. Even if the world fell apart, it didn't matter. He had already prepared to forcefully detonate the holy artifacts of the Holy See and the Ascension Myriad Worlds battlefield. What are you all waiting for? Kill her quickly. The Pope roared in anger. At the same time, the power of the law of light surged from his body. As the Pope of the Holy See, it was normal for him to be a powerful demigod. The great Lord of Holy Light created the light, illuminating the myriad worlds of the universe, lighting the way forward for countless sentient beings, allowing them to embrace hope and the future. Angelia spoke slowly. Step by step, she walked down the steps and stood above the hall. With each step, the aura emanating from her became more terrifying. The bishops and temple knights in the hall couldn't resist at all. They all knelt to the ground. As she spoke, Angelia reached out into the void and pulled out a divine sword burning with golden flames. Seeing this divine sword, the people in the hall exclaimed, "The legendary angel's sword that can purify all darkness and evil." At this moment, they began to believe who was the real one. Angelia looked at the Pope with an indifferent expression. "However, you, who possess the law of light, use it to satisfy your own desires. You are not qualified to spread the faith of the Lord. Shut up, you follower of the evil god." The Pope shouted in shock and anger. immediately using the power of the law of light to condense a giant sword of laws and slash towards Angelia. At the same time, more than a dozen figures rushed out of the hall. Each one of them was a powerful bishop-level figure. They all possessed the rank of saint. They all released their domains, enveloping Angelia within. The Lord says, "Heretics shall be punished." Angelia waved the divine sword in her hand. In an instant, radiant holy swords fell from the void, piercing through the bodies of those false believers. They were all allies of the Pope, with almost no faith. Die! The Pope's sword of laws had already arrived. But Angelia just glanced at it and stopped the sword halfway. No matter how hard the Pope tried, the sword of laws remained motionless. He knew he had encountered a tough opponent. He wanted to escape, but found that his body couldn't move either. At this moment, he felt despair. If he had known that an angel would descend upon this world, he would have chosen to truly believe in the Supreme Creator. The holy flame will purify your soul and body. Wash away your sins. The angelic sword in Angelia's hand slowly pierced through the Pope's shield of laws and pierced through his heart. Then, a blazing angelic holy flame emerged, burning the Pope's body. The Pope, a generation of popes, was burned to ashes in screams and despair. The bishops, temple knights, and other followers in the hall saw this scene and all trembled, kneeling on the ground. This time, they were not mistaken. She was a real angel. Greetings, esteemed holy envoy. May the holy light be ever present and the eternal Lord. Hundreds of bishops, temple knights, and fanatical followers, kneeling in the grand hall, each of them filled with immense excitement, their eyes burning with fanaticism. The Supreme Pontiff, the wielder of power in the Holy See, was reduced to ashes before them, along with a group of bishop-level impostors. Bodies scattered across the ground, blood flowing, staining the white jade-carved floor. However, this did not instill fear in them, because those who died were false believers, and they were the true followers of the light. Among them, besides the common devout believers, there were also some fanatic believers. In their eyes, the esteemed holy envoy's slaying of the Pope and the group of bishop-level impostors was a purge of the troublemakers, a cleansing of the heretics who refused to embrace the light. This was the right thing to do. Furthermore, they even felt anger, believing that they had been deceived by the Holy Pontiff of the Holy See, the esteemed holy envoy of the light. Attacking the revered angelic spirit was nothing short of a complete heresy. They had been manipulated by heretics for so many years. This was simply shameful. From another perspective, even if the Holy Pontiff of the Holy See was truly a believer, he deserved to die, because the angelic spirit was the embodiment of the Supreme Creator walking in the mortal world, representing the will of the Lord. They, the followers of the light in this mortal world, were the servants of the Lord. The Supreme Lord, punishing his servants, and the duty of the servants was not to resist, but to obediently accept the Lord's punishment. That was the true display of a true believer. This group of the Holy Pontiff and his followers were complete rebels. They deserved no pity. They even felt that the Holy Pontiff of the light did not deserve to be burned to ashes by the divine angelic flame. If it were them, they would angrily crucify the Holy Pontiff of the light. Let him be exposed under the scorching sun for 49 days, and then subject him to torture, until the Holy Pontiff of the light truly understood what faith was. Advertisement: never again to be a false believer in the next life. Of course, the Holy Pontiff of the light had no next life, because they saw that the soul of the Holy Pontiff of the light had already been extinguished in the holy flame, completely turned to ashes. At the head of the grand hall, the elegant and dignified secretary sat on the luxurious throne, her cold gaze overlooking the bishops, temple knights, and fanatical followers in the hall. Wherever her gaze fell, the followers of the light all lowered their heads, not daring to directly meet that holy and noble figure. My Lord has descended upon the dark forest, establishing Paradise Town. This is the starting point for my angelic clan's return to the myriad worlds. The Holy See must cooperate with my angelic clan's great army, conquer this world, and let my Lord's glory shine in every corner of this world. We obey your command, esteemed holy envoy. Hundreds of followers eagerly responded. They were impatient to go to the dark forest and pay homage to the Supreme Creator. As for why the Supreme Creator did not directly conquer this world with his supreme power, but chose the dark forest as a starting point and planned it step by step, this was not a question they should consider. As servants of the Lord, they only needed to obey orders. Esteemed holy envoy. A bishop dressed in a platinum-colored robe prostrated himself on the ground, speaking with utmost respect. Could you please guide us in the direction to advance, so that our Lord can conquer this world more quickly? Angelia said lightly, mobilize all the power of the Holy See to attack the kingdom of Kilias. When our Lord descends upon the bountiful great lands, I do not wish to see any heretics remaining in this region. Understood. The Archbishop quickly nodded and said, please rest assured, Your Excellency. The Holy See will spare no expense to conquer the kingdom of Kilias. The kingdom of Kilias. Among the three human kingdoms, it is the only one not under the control of the Holy See. By resolving this kingdom, the Holy See's power will be able to rule over the entire bountiful great lands, welcoming the arrival of the Lord of Holy Light. Angelia said, now, I give you 1 hour to gather 100 alchemists and 100 priests. I want to bring them to Paradise Town to serve our Lord. Yes, Your Excellency. The Archbishop immediately complied and quickly left the hall. Suddenly, the hall fell silent. Hundreds of believers remained kneeling in the hall. Without the Holy See speaking, they dared not rise. Advertisement. After about half an hour, 100 alchemists and 100 priests had all gathered. Each one of them was carefully selected. Both their talents and abilities were exceptional. The reason why Angelia wanted to bring these alchemists and priests to Paradise Town was because her Lord of Holy Light was troubled by the lack of them in his territory. With these alchemists and priests, the pharmacy and clinic in the town could operate. This was also one of her main purposes for descending upon the bountiful great lands. In addition to the alchemists and priests, Angelia also took a large number of magic potions, metal materials, magic cores, and magic gems from the Holy See's treasury. These were all things that the Lord of Holy Light's territory could make use of. The believers had no complaints about Angelia's extensive collection. On the contrary, they were very happy. For them, being able to offer to the great Lord of Holy Light was their honor. When everything was finished, Angelia used the power of divine light and the laws of light to open a gate of holy light in the hall. Behind the gate of holy light was Paradise Town, far away in the dark forest. Previously, she did not know the exact location of the Holy See, so she could only tear through the void to come here. Now, returning was much simpler. A gate of holy light could transport her to Paradise Town. Just as Angelia was preparing to return to Paradise Town, a beautiful figure. Under the escort of several bishops, she walked quickly into the hall. She wore an exquisite crown on her head, her golden hair cascading behind her head. She was dressed in a snow-white gown, and a delicate cross hung between her slender neck. From a human aesthetic perspective, her appearance and figure were impeccable. She looked like a pure and beautiful snow lotus, exuding a beautiful and holy aura. Respected Your Excellency. She knelt on the ground, speaking with utmost piety. I am Radiant Saintess Tiffany of the Holy See, begging you to take me to Paradise Town to serve the great Lord of Holy Light. The Radiant Saintess held a very high position in the Holy See, second only to the Pope. Her mission was to serve the great Goddess of Light for her entire life. Now, the Lord of Holy Light had appeared. Naturally, she chose to serve the Lord of Holy Light. After all, the Lord of Holy Light's status was higher than that of the Goddess of Light. He was the supreme deity of the Goddess of Light. Angelia glanced at the Radiant Saintess. With unwavering faith, a pure soul, beautiful appearance, and a good figure, she was a qualified Radiant Saintess. Come with me. You can pray that the Lord of Holy Light will keep you in Paradise Town. As she finished speaking, Angelia's elegant figure walked into the gate of holy light. Radiant Saintess Tiffany, filled with excitement, followed and walked into the gate as well, until the gate of holy light disappeared. The worshippers kneeling in the grand hall stood up. Unbelievable! In my lifetime, I can actually see the noble angelic spirit. I have been praying for the descent of the angelic spirit, and she actually appeared. It must be the great Lord of Holy Light hearing my prayers and sending the angel to show her divine presence. For so many years, the miracles under the Goddess of Light's crown have never manifested. I never expected that the Supreme Creator would actually descend. The world is about to be enveloped in holiness and light. We must dedicate everything to the great Lord of Holy Light and make all the wise races of this world become followers of the Holy Light. Praise the merciful and great Lord. The worshippers were all excited. When they first learned that the Pope of Light was not a follower of the Holy Light, they were shocked beyond belief. But now, they understood the reason behind it. The reason was that the miracles had never manifested. Coupled with the desire for supreme power, the faith of generation after generation of popes of light was corrupted. On the contrary, the faith of the lower-level worshippers remained steadfast. At the moment of death, Wallace must have regretted deeply. If he had a chance to start over, I believe he would be a steadfast follower of the Holy Light. Don't mention that false believer anymore. He is a disgrace to our Holy See. If it weren't for the mercy of the Holy Envoy, we would all be implicated by him. Praise the Holy Envoy. The worshippers were filled with both sorrow and gratitude. They were grateful for their unwavering faith. Otherwise, they would either be burned to ashes by the angelic flame or be judged by the holy sword. A bishop said, "We should send the holy crusaders to cleanse Wallace's family. He needs to pay the price for blaspheming the Supreme Creator." The group of sanctioned false believers should be treated the same way. They have done all sorts of evil deeds, using the faith of the worshippers in the Creator to satisfy their own desires. They must atone for this. Upon hearing this, the other bishops nodded in agreement. Blaspheming the Supreme Creator was the most unforgivable sin. The traces of these false believers must be eradicated by the cruelest means. Only then could their Holy See offer the most pure faith to the great Lord of Holy Light. Now that Wallace is dead, the papal throne is vacant. Should we elect a new pope? A bishop raised this question. Advertisement. Immediately, another bishop responded, "The great Lord of Holy Light has already descended upon Dark Forest. Even if we are to elect a new pope, we should seek the approval of our Lord. What we need to do now is to obey the orders of the Holy Envoy, eliminate the heretics of the kingdom of Kilias, including the evil believers hidden in the darkness. We must quickly envelop the entire bountiful great lands with light. We must welcome the great Lord of Holy Light's descent upon the Cloud City with the most sacred ceremony, the highest respect, and the purest faith." Upon hearing this, the bishops in the Grand Hall, the temple knights, and other worshippers were filled with fervent anticipation. Just the thought of the great Lord of Holy Light descending upon the Cloud City made them extremely excited. This would be the greatest glory for their Holy See, recorded in the Scriptures and passed down for generations. Soon, orders were conveyed one after another. For a moment, all the renowned forces of the Holy See, such as the Holy Crusaders, Order of the Holy Knights, Legion of Fanatical Believers, Temple Knights, Golden Griffin Legion, etc., were mobilized. At the same time, within the two human kingdoms under the control of the Holy See, all the worshippers of the Church of Light quickly began to gather, including the Light Knights, Light Priests, Cardinal Bishops, monks, and so on. Not a single one was left out, and they all sounded the horn of war. During this process, high-level bishops appeared in the capitals of these two human kingdoms and conveyed the orders from the Holy Envoy to the high-ranking officials of the two kingdoms. Initially, some of the high-ranking officials expressed opposition, because they believed that behind the kingdom of Kilias, there was the dragon's nest that ruled over the 36 islands. Once the war starts, their kingdom will surely suffer heavy losses. For so many years, The radiant Holy Sea has been unable to rule over the bountiful Great Lands, and that is precisely the reason. As for these opponents, the radiant Holy Sea's approach is to use force to eliminate them. After eliminating the opponents, what remains are the war faction and the obedient faction. Soon after, the two human kingdoms also began to mobilize troops, assembling one large human army after another, with the radiant Holy Sea's army as the main force, marching towards the kingdom of Kilias. This war came too quickly, too suddenly. There were no signs at all. The high-ranking officials of the kingdom of Kilias had no reaction at all. It wasn't until the heavily fortified border city came under attack that they realized the war had broken out. They urgently mobilized the kingdom's army, advanced to the border, and formed a defensive line. At the same time, they contacted the radiant Holy Sea and the high-ranking officials of the two human kingdoms, hoping to sit down and have a proper talk. In response to the kingdom of Kilia's request for peace talks, the radiant Holy Sea, which is leading this war, only replied with one sentence: surrender and believe in the great Lord of Holy Light. The kingdom of Kilias will definitely not agree to this demand. The negotiations collapsed. Three kingdoms, plus the radiant Holy Sea, erupted into full-scale war. Meanwhile, the kingdom of Kilias urgently sought help from the Dragon's Nest, which rules over the 36 islands. Soon after, the Dragon's Nest also joined the war. Advertisement: countless massive dragons appeared on the battlefield, and this war came to be known as the Battle of the Five Armies in later generations. Of course, that is a story for later. On the side of Paradise Town, using the Gate of Holy Light, Angelia, along with Radiant Saintess Tiffany and 200 alchemists and priests of the Radiant Holy Sea, teleported back to Paradise Town. As soon as they entered the town, these followers of the Radiant Holy Sea were stunned. Inside the town, there was an extremely dense aura of holiness and radiant magic. Outside the town, countless holy envoys were fighting against the undead army. Above the town, there was even a massive white giant city floating. What they saw and heard left them in awe. Holy light above all. Is that the city of angels recorded in the scriptures? Oh my God! What shocked them the most was that in the northeast area of the town, 3 more City of Angels were under construction. Angelia said indifferently, "Go to the Alchemist Guild and the clinic on your own. Without special orders, you are not allowed to leave." "Yes, Your Holiness." The followers quickly and respectfully obeyed. Then, with excitement on their faces, they hurried to their workplaces. The holy envoys did not deceive them. As soon as they entered the territory, they felt a connection to the belief in the Lord of Holy Light. The great Lord of Holy Light had truly descended. They could serve the Lord and even have the opportunity to meet the great Lord, which was the greatest honor of their lives. The Lord manifests, faith is eternal. Under the protection of the Creator, we will all attain eternal life. Praise the great Lord. Your Holiness. Radiant Saintess Tiffany asked cautiously, "What about me?" Angelia said calmly, "You are already a saint-rank professional, so you don't need to participate in the battle for now. Find a wooden house for yourself and go to meet the Lord of Holy Light tomorrow morning." "Yes, Your Holiness." Radiant Saintess Tiffany felt a bit regretful, but she obediently followed the order and found an empty wooden house to stay in. This night, Tiffany was destined to have a hard time falling asleep. The next day, Lin Yu woke up early. The warm scent of six-winged seeker angel Elena lingered in the cozy bed. Just like Lin Yu's initial impression, Elena has a gentle beauty that sets her apart from other angels, like a docile and obedient pet cat. In fact, that's exactly what she is. No matter how she is bullied, she is extremely obedient and won't resist. In comparison, ancient great elf Eudoris is like a sexy little wildcat, instinctively liking to dominate. An angel and an elf, with different personalities and temperaments. Experiencing it firsthand, the feeling is completely different. After eating the breakfast prepared by Elena, Lin Yu went to the first floor of the Hall of the Overlord. As usual, the lobby on the first floor was piled with a large number of spoils. Gold coins, equipment, blueprints, spirit rice seeds, and so on, countless. However, the harvest was not as much as the night before. Could it be that his angel army and territorial legion killed too many undead creatures last night? Lin Yu wondered. As usual, Lin Yu put the already counted equipment and blueprints on the island trading platform. The remaining items were given as rewards or used as needed. All the spirit rice seeds were planted in the spirit field. So far, Lin Yu can harvest over 100,000 units of spirit rice every day, and the daily harvest is still increasing. Originally, Lin Yu thought that so much spirit rice would be enough for his territory. But the reality is different. The number of his subjects has skyrocketed to over 1 million. A mere 100,000 units of spirit rice is simply not enough, so it can only be prioritized for the elite in the legion. From another perspective, this is also a way of motivation. It can stimulate other troops to be more ambitious and work harder. After dealing with the spoils, Lin Yu had over 300,000 gold coins left in his hands. This is just a small amount. The real bulk is from the sold equipment and blueprints. According to Lin Yu's estimation, it should be able to sell for over 1,500,000 gold coins. Adding the over 300,000 gold coins obtained last night, the total harvest was basically 2 million gold coins, enough to recruit 7 fully equipped medium-sized angel legions, which is over 35,000 angels. Just at this moment, a beautiful and holy figure walked in. The morning sun poured down on her, making her look even more dazzling. Lin Yu's eyes lit up instantly. His gaze fell on the angel wings behind the beautiful figure. In addition to the 3 pairs of snow-white wings, there were 2 pairs of flowing light wings. A 10-winged angel. Lin Yu's smile bloomed, and he said happily, "Angelia, you've surprised me again." Advertisement. He knew that Angelia could actively absorb the special substance in the spirit field space. The probability of evolution is higher than other angels. But he didn't expect Angelia's bloodline evolution to come so quickly. Counting it, this is Angelia's 3rd evolution. When she was first summoned, Angelia was still a 4-winged angel. In the blink of an eye, she has grown into a 10-winged angel. One step further, she will become a 12-winged angel and can become the commander of an angel legion. Such progress is terrifying. Angelia walked over, crossed her hands and placed them on her full chest, and respectfully saluted. "It is the Lord's favor and guidance that allowed me to find the opportunity for evolution." Lin Yu grinned. He sensed Angelia's aura again, and was once again shocked. Envious and happy, he said, "In addition to being promoted to a 10-winged angel, your realm has also reached the level of demigod. With this, I have more confidence in the war to attack the giant kingdom." "Master, rest assured," Angelia said, "there will be no problems in this war." "That's good." Lin Yu nodded. Then, Angelia told Lin Yu everything that happened when she went to the bountiful Great Lands and visited the headquarters of the Radiant Church. She told him everything in detail, including bringing back Radiant Saintess, Tiffany from Cloud City, and 200 alchemists and priests of the Radiant Church. After listening, Lin Yu's expression froze. His secretary, without a word, brought him a transcendent level force? And in the holy city of the Radiant Church, in front of a crowd of Radiant Church followers, he killed their Pope? This is really well done. The esteemed Radiant Pope, the one in power in the church. Turns out he doesn't believe in the Radiance. He's a complete fake believer. This Pope must die. Angelia said, "When I was in Cloud City, I commanded the followers to gather the power of the Radiant Church and launch an attack on the kingdom of Kilius. Believe me, the war will break out soon. As long as the war goes smoothly and the coalition defeats the kingdom of Kilius, our Lord will easily control the bountiful Great Lands." "Well done," Lin Yu praised. Angelia is indeed his chief secretary. She can handle everything he wants and doesn't want. She's impeccable. Lin Yu said, "You just said that the kingdom of Kilius has a close relationship with the Dragon's Nest, which rules over the 36 islands?" "Yes, my lord." Angelia nodded and said, "If nothing unexpected happens, the kingdom of Kilius will definitely seek the assistance of the Dragon Clan. This war will not end quickly." Lin Yu said, Then let's wait and see. If we conquer the dark forest and the radiant church has not yet gained control of the bountiful great lands, we will send the city of angels directly into the battlefield. Wise decision, my lord. Advertisement. Angelia immediately complimented. Then she took off the Skull King's belt from her waist and handed it to Lin Yu, saying, "My lord, this is what I brought back from the Radiant Church. Please take a look." Lin Yu took it and saw that there were piles of items inside. It's even richer than the giant kingdom that was stolen by 3 mountain giants. There are nearly 1,000,000 magic cores alone. It can be said that now the energy problem of the City of Angels has been completely solved. Even if Coral and Marianne build 10 City of Angels, they can all go to battle together. Lin Yu smiled and said, "Did you empty the headquarters of the Radiant Church?" "Not exactly." Angelia said, "I left some for those followers." Kind-hearted secretary. Lin Yu handed the Skull King's belt back to Angelia and said, "Give the magic cores inside to Vivian for the war energy of the City of Angels. As for the other materials, store them in the warehouse." "Yes, my lord." Angelia nodded. Lin Yu suddenly became puzzled and said, "Angelia, I can feel that there are 200 more radiant believers in the territory, the alchemists and priests you brought back. Why can't I sense them or gain the power of their faith that the radiant believers in the bountiful great lands contribute?" Reporting to my lord, Angelia explained, "This is due to the rules and limitations of the floating island. Your domain of faith can only radiate in the dark forest for now. When you become a demigod, you will be able to sense the believers in other regions. And once you become a god, the entire floating island world will be enveloped in your domain of faith." Lin Yu suddenly understood. In summary, his level is too low. Once he reaches a certain level, everything will be possible. Seeing that there was nothing else, Angelia said, "My lord, Radiant Saintess Tiffany is waiting outside for your summons. Would you like to see her?" Secretary Angelia informed Lin Yu. Tiffany has passed her inspection. She is a qualified saintess, and the role of a saintess is to serve the great Lord of Holy Light. Seeing her is fine. Lin Yu nodded slightly. His expression was calm, but he was actually looking forward to it. The creature called Saintess only exists in novels. He has never seen a real saintess in the real world, so he can satisfy his curiosity. Soon, a tall figure walked in quickly from outside. She had a beautiful face and a slender figure, perfect golden proportions. She was wearing a spotless white gown and a delicate crown on her head. On her flawless, beautiful cheeks was an extremely solemn expression. But from her trembling body and slightly panicked footsteps, it could be seen that she was very excited, just pretending to be serious. She came in front of Lin Yu. Tiffany knelt down without hesitation and praised the great Lord of Holy Light. Her hands were pressed against the ground, and her head was deeply lowered. This kneeling posture perfectly displayed her alluring figure. The term saintess is indeed profound. "Rise up." Lin Yu raised his hand. Radiant Saintess Tiffany quickly stood up respectfully. From beginning to end, she dared not look directly at Lin Yu's face. The believers are humble. The God of faith is noble. For the followers of the Radiant Church, looking directly at the Lord of Holy Light is the greatest disrespect. Lin Yu then sized up the Radiant Saintess before him. Her face was exquisitely beautiful, with fair and flawless skin. Beneath her long and curved eyelashes were a pair of beautiful blue eyes. Especially her figure. Tall and slender, with graceful curves. She was basically 1.7 meters tall with long legs measuring 1.2 meters. In terms of appearance, she was a flawless beauty. Her temperament was also outstanding. Pure and holy. Like a pure snow lotus. Placed on the blue star, she would definitely be the goddess adored by all. However, having seen many angels and elves, Lin Yu did not find this radiant saintess particularly eye-catching or stunning. There was something unique about her that attracted him. Perhaps it was her identity as the radiant saintess. She had a certain allure and conquering desire for him. At this moment, Radiant Saintess Tiffany cautiously and eagerly said, "Great Lord of Holy Light, I pray that you allow me to stay in Paradise Town and serve you. If I can become your maid, it would be my greatest honor." Her voice trembled, and her heart was anxious. She was worried that her wish would be rejected. As the saint of the Radiant Church, her status in the bountiful Great Lands was very high. Even the monarchs of the two human kingdoms would respectfully bow to her. Countless Radiant Church followers referred to her as Your Highness. This was a title of respect for the saint. But in front of the God of faith, she was just a humble believer. The mission of the saint was to serve the great God of faith, and this was Tiffany's lifelong dream. The history of the Radiant Church was very ancient. Throughout the ages, there had been generation after generation of radiant saintesses. Advertisement. But before her, only a few radiant saintesses had completed this mission. Those saintesses had exceptional talent and cultivation, reaching the peak of demigod level, and eventually entered the myriad world's battlefield, joining the embrace of the goddess of light. However, there had never been a radiant saintess who served the Lord of Holy Light. If she could become the maid of the Lord of Holy Light, it would be Tiffany's most glorious moment. She was prepared to dedicate everything for the great Lord of Holy Light. Suddenly, Lin Yu asked, "Can you cook?" Upon hearing this, Radiant Saintess Tiffany's expression froze for a moment. Then she quickly realized and knelt down in fear and reverence, saying, "Great Lord of Holy Light, I can't cook, but I will definitely work hard to learn." Lin Yu nodded. The attitude of this Radiant Saintess was acceptable. He turned to six-winged seeker Angel Elena beside him and said, "For now, let her follow you." "Yes, my lord." Elena responded gently and respectfully. Radiant Saintess Tiffany, who was kneeling on the ground, trembled with excitement. This meant that she could stay in Paradise Town and serve the Lord of Holy Light up close. "You may leave," Lin Yu waved his hand and said, "Work hard in your cultivation and strive to advance to the demigod level as soon as possible. Only then will you have the opportunity to follow me to the myriad world's battlefield." "Yes, great Lord of Holy Light. I will definitely not let you down." Radiant Saintess Tiffany responded excitedly and then left the hall of the Overlord. When she stepped outside, she felt like the whole world had become much brighter. The uneasiness and anxiety from last night had disappeared. She was now filled with hope and had even bigger goals and dreams, which was to become the favorite and most perfect maid of the Lord of Holy Light. As for Lin Yu, taking Tiffany as a maid was just a small matter. What he was most concerned about was the upcoming war. Inside the town, an angel army of 180,000 had already assembled and was waiting for Lin Yu's divine decree. They would then march with the city of angels and attack the giant kingdom thousands of miles away. About half an hour later, all the equipment and blueprints that were put up for sale had been sold. The total amount of gold coins earned was approximately 1.7 million. Adding the over 300,000 gold coins obtained from drops. Indeed, as Lin Yu expected, he once again had a reserve of 2 million gold coins. Without hesitation, Lin Yu immediately used these gold coins to summon angels. Soon, 7 medium-sized angel legions were summoned, totaling over 35,000 angels. With this, the total size of Lin Yu's angel army exceeded 200,000, reaching a terrifying number of nearly 220,000. Advertisement. Among them, about one-third were fallen angels. In addition, after this summoning, the number of Hell Cerberuses also reached nearly 80, each of them at the transcendent late stage level, only one step away from reaching the saint rank. As for their combat power, they were basically on par with mid-late stage saint rank powerhouses. These were the monstrous creatures that crawled out of hell, possessing astonishing strength. Lin Yu looked at the elegant and beautiful secretary and asked, "Have the teleportation arrays built by Coral been completed?" "Reporting to your majesty," Angelia respectfully replied, "the teleportation arrays have all been built and set up. Coral and the artisan angels have built a total of 20 teleportation arrays. One is located in the center of the town square, and 4 are located at the 4 entrances of the town. The remaining 15 teleportation arrays are scattered in areas 150 kilometers away from the town. Other troops from the territory have already used the teleportation arrays to go hunting monsters in those areas. Well done. Lin Yu nodded approvingly as if praising Angelia. With Angelia around, he really didn't need to worry about anything. He only needed to give orders. Angelia would take care of everything else. It's almost time. Lin Yu said to Angelia, "Order the angel army to assemble at the City of Angels and march towards the capital of the giant kingdom. Capture it and all the cities and tribes as quickly as possible." According to the information provided by the 3 saint-rank mountain giants, the core area of the giant kingdom was centered around the capital, with a radius of about 400 kilometers. In this area, there were numerous cities and tribes, with a total population of over 1 million. All of them were pure-blooded mountain giants. Overall, the war strength of the mountain giant kingdom was still very powerful, truly deserving to be one of the 4 transcendent level forces in the Dark Forest. "Yes, my great lord," Angelia respectfully responded. After receiving Lin Yu's signal, she immediately left the hall of the Overlord. Also leaving were 6-winged seeker Angel Elena, who had been standing behind Lin Yu, and ancient great elf Doris. They were also going to join the battle. By killing powerful mountain giants, they would promote themselves to higher levels. Their growth potential was all at the lower true god level. As long as their primal energy was sufficient, becoming gods would be easy for them. Above Paradise Town, the City of Angels, spanning 8,000 kilometers, floats in the sky. Under the sunlight, it appears like a legendary divine city, exuding a magnificent feeling. At this moment, countless angels soar into the sky. They are all holy angels radiating a sacred brilliance, with a total of 150,000 in number. They form fully equipped small angel legions, led by one 6-winged angel after another, flying straight towards the City of Angels. Looking up, the sky is filled with the beautiful figures of angels, majestic and grand, like a divine torrent. Such a scene is extremely shocking. Even Lin Yu is seeing this for the first time. There is a feeling of being stunned. Radiant Saintess Tiffany, standing not far away, is even more dumbfounded. Angelic spirits are mythical beings recorded in the scriptures. Before this, she had never seen an angel, let alone tens of thousands of angels of various ranks gathered together. She is completely overwhelmed and unable to recover for a long time. Soon, the 150,000 holy angels all enter the City of Angels. Although it is a small-scale City of Angels, usually it is equipped with a large-scale angel legion, which is more than 50,000 angels. However, after the influx of 150,000 angels, it can still accommodate them with a little squeezing. Just like a small van. You never know how many people can fit inside. Overloading is definitely overloading, but it does not affect the flight of the City of Angels. At the same time, a large number of fallen angels fly into the sky within the town. They also form small angel legions, totaling hundreds of formations. Leading them are terrifying 8-winged fallen angels. They are followed by numerous 6-winged fallen angel commanders. And most of the 6-winged fallen angels are standing on the heads of the Hellhounds. They are Hellhound Knights, possessing stronger combat power than ordinary 6-winged fallen angels. The total size of the fallen angel army is about 70,000. However, they do not enter the City of Angels. This is because the City of Angels is filled with the aura of holiness and light, and there are countless sacred runes engraved by artisan angels, which is extremely unfriendly to them. Therefore, the fallen angel army is preparing to fly directly to the giant kingdom. For them, a distance of thousands of kilometers is nothing. Advertisement. Soon, the army sets off. The majestic City of Angels flies in the front, breaking through thick clouds. The mighty fallen angel army follows closely behind. They all emit a strong aura of hell, and each one is large in size, wearing blood armor, wielding blood swords, and having hellhounds resembling ancient beasts as pets. It is clear that they are not to be trifled with. Of course, the most intimidating and oppressive is the City of Angels. Aside from the huge demonic cannons, just the massive floating city in the sky is enough to awe all the races in the floating island. In addition, The city of angels has a very fast flying speed. In the blink of an eye, it disappears into the distant horizon. Oh, great Lord of holy light! Radiant Saintess Tiffany suddenly appears, bowing her head respectfully, not daring to look at Lin Yu's face. Lin Yu says, "You don't have to keep bowing your head. The majesty of the God of faith is to be revered in your heart, not to be considered blasphemy just by looking directly at the God of faith. Praise you, great Lord of holy light." Radiant Saintess Tiffany quickly says respectfully. She thinks to herself that the Supreme Creator is indeed, as described in the scriptures, merciful, loving, and caring for his followers. Immediately, she slowly lifted her head, revealing a beautiful fair face. And for the first time, she saw what Lord of Holy Light looked like. With a face like jade, extraordinary charm, and exceptional beauty, Lord of Holy Light's eyes seemed to see through all the falsehoods in the world, causing Tiffany's inner world to tremble uncontrollably. Tiffany tried hard to calm herself down. Then she cautiously asked, "My lord, are those beings following behind the city of angels also angels? Why do they emit such a strong evil aura?" She didn't understand why creatures from the evil camp could appear in the domain of the Creator. "They are fallen angels," Lin Yu said. "For certain reasons, they joined the camp of hell. However, they are still my followers, with unwavering faith. So that's how it is." Radiant Saintess Tiffany suddenly realized. She instinctively feared those fallen angels, but now she felt much more at ease. However, she still had doubts. Why was there no mention of fallen angels in the scripture? Could it be that during the era when the angels swept through the myriad worlds, there were no fallen angels? If that's the case, advertisement, then why did fallen angels appear? One question after another arose in Tiffany's mind, but she didn't dare to ask too much. In addition, she also saw the Dark Elf Mother Tree, standing near the Hall of the Overlord, as well as the Dark Elf Legion that went out hunting in the morning. In this world, Dark Elves were undoubtedly creatures of the evil camp, despised by all races, expelled by the race of nature elves. The underground world was the stronghold of the Dark Elves. Tiffany didn't expect to see the presence of Dark Elves in the domain of Lord of Holy Light, and there were so many of them. This exceeded her understanding. Indeed, the Supreme Creator is benevolent. Even a race as evil as the Dark Elves, as long as their hearts turn towards the light, they can still receive the favor of the Supreme Creator. She silently prayed and praised the selfless Lord. Just at this moment, Tiffany saw Lord of Holy Light walking towards the distant, pharmacist manor, and without hesitation, she quickly followed. As a maid, she should always serve by the Lord's side. Soon, Lin Yu arrived at the pharmacist manor. The 100 pharmacists transferred from the Holy Sea of Light had been waiting for a long time. Upon seeing Lin Yu, they immediately knelt down with immense reverence and zealously paid their respects. The pharmacists chosen to serve Lord of Holy Light were all devout believers. In this regard, the Holy Sea of Light would never dare to be careless. At the same time, the leading old medicine pharmacist stepped forward. Excited and respectful, he said, "Praise to you, great Lord of Holy Light. I am Denver, a master-level pharmacist from the Holy Sea of Light. It is my honor to serve you." Pharmacists are similar to blacksmiths. The ranks, from low to high, are apprentice, low level, middle level, high level, master level, grandmaster level, and god level. A master level pharmacist can prepare saint rank potions. Occasionally, with a burst of luck, they can even prepare demigod level potions. As for god level pharmacists, they are the top pharmacists in the floating island world. Few in number. One known god level pharmacist belongs to the race of nature elves and often resides in the sacred land of elves. God-level pharmacists excel at preparing demigod-level potions. But if they want to prepare god-level potions, it depends on whether the goddess of fate and the goddess of luck favor them. As an aside, the goddess of fate and the goddess of luck are twin sisters. They are famous twin divine kings. It is said that they were born looking exactly the same, almost indistinguishable. As for the depth of their power, no one knows.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe.